matters.
All right, as John had mentioned before, we are thinking about maybe starting a third fantasy army.
1, 2, 3.
We like 40k, but we'd rather just stick with one army for that since we mainly play fantasy as it is. Anyways.
Which reminds me, my Imperial Guard are still up for sale as well as probably 30 or 40 Marines. Send me an email. I'll put my email address on the comment. It'll probably be right about here. I'm not asking for much. Say 300. You take it without seeing. And then I'll send you a list if you want specific things. But you're getting about 2,000 points of Imperial Guard and 1,000 points of Space Marines. The Guards comes with tanks, Stormtroopers. So it's actually a good army. It's got about 60 foot sloggers. So it's a very good deal. Email me and we'll just talk about it a little bit.
Just a little bit more information on its guard list. It was created back with the 3rd edition rule?
4th edition.
No, this is 4th edition rules.
Oh, with our codex, yeah.
Yeah, the Imperial Guard Codex
The old
now
codex.
is in 4th edition. The last one was 3rd edition.
Right.
Yeah, so it was created around the 3rd edition one, so it's not as many tanks, but it was based off that list.
It's still a very competitive list if you throw in a couple more Chimeras.
Let's just say I've never beaten him.
Right, in 4th
with
edition.
with his guard list.
But now in 5th edition, since troop choices are the only ones that can take objectives, there's more than enough troop choices in this army that I'm selling that you can use.
He was able to create,
6 veteran squads?
Back with the 3rd edition, it was
2 infantry
platoons and an armored
fifth squad. And a vet squad.
Yes, so he had enough to cover.
And then I had stormtroopers, a demolisher tank, a hellhound, a command squad. You know, it was a kick-ass list.
So he had enough to at least get you the nice foot sloggers, troops that you need to hold objectives, or with the new rules, if you do a massed infantry platoon, just have that squad of 30 or more guys.
Exactly.
So we've been thinking about a 3rd army for fantasy just because we love the fantasy games so much more. It's more competitive. We like the ideas of the background armies and stuff. And for 40k with us, it just always seems to be a little bit more predictable as to what your opponent's going to do at the fact that I win. That's all you need to know. I know what he has to do, and I still can't beat him.
Yeah, and I'm sick of it. Winning, that is.
That's why you always treat me to a Slurpee afterwards.
Hell yeah. Victory Slurpee, or in Mike's case,
Sympathy Slurpee.
there you go. I couldn't think of the word. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome. So we've been thinking ideas for a 3rd fantasy army, and one that we both would probably end up getting for fantasy would be the new Beastmen army.
Well, name all the ones that you were thinking about. The top 3. And
top
a little
3
bit from each
armies-
one why.
The top 3 armies for me would probably be Wood Elves, because they have a lot of good missile-based troops. I like the fact that they can move and shoot their 30-inch bows without having the penalty for moving and shooting. So that's just amazing. And they're tree-based folk. The Dryads, the Tree Kid, the Tree Man, or the Tree Man Ancient are just rock-hard creatures.
Right.
They're just nasty. Their spells that they have are based off their own thing, the woods and stuff. So it's not a very good magic list in my opinion. But if you definitely had a lot of forest based for your side of the field, do I have to happiness dog?
Yes.
If you had a lot of woods at least on your battlefield, then their list was definitely gonna just be.
And
their magic is just.
But Wood Elves
nasty.
automatically give you an extra 2 woods, don't they? Or is it D3?
Just the extra one on my half.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing you're thinking of the D3 is their moving one, the tree
Oh.
singing ability, where it moves D3 plus 1 inches.
Okay. Well, what's your
That
second
is-
one? Okay. Now, we were talking about top 3 Warhammer Fantasy armies that we would start next. My top 3, number 1 would have to be the Wood Elves, because I'm a real fan of their moving and avoid being seen, kind of like hit and run guerrilla tactics. That's kind of cool to me, and the Way Watchers are my favorite unit. Killing blow, 15 inches. Oop! You just lost your Lord on Dragon. Number 2, High Elves. I already started them, so I guess it'd be kind of easy. I'm a really big fan of the Elven armies. Always strike first. I'm not a real big fan of that because that's kind of cheap. But
Then again, you have Dark Elves that have hatred.
yeah, but they don't strike first unless the Blackguard get the banner of that grave, and then
Shut
you
up.
can't beat me anyway.
Shut up.
And I love the Sword Masters for the High Elves. They're my favorite unit. 2 attacks each, Strength 5, Weapon Skill 6. They're disgustingly good. My third choice would have to be Beastmen or Vampire Counts. I'm a big fan of both of them. Vampire Counts because they're really magic heavy, and I'm a real fan of the Warhammer Fantasy Magic phase. And the Beastman is pretty much the same reason as Mike's. I love the new models. I love the Doom Bowl model. And I like the new ambush rule, which is kind of cool.
The ambush rule definitely got an upgrade from the
Yes,
previous
it did.
one to this one. This one's just
And,
awesome.
The new Gore models are cool. The new Bestigor models are cool.
Oh, I love the best Gore models.
Minotaurs are cool. I
Yeah.
like them all, but that's why it's so hard to decide. Also, instead of doing a third fantasy army, we're also thinking about going to another game system. War Machine, Flames of War, Lord of the Rings. Well, we've seen War Machine being played. We've seen Lord of the Rings people. We actually played a couple Lord of the Rings games. And we played Flames of War, but we played it kind of wrong. We just sat each other. There was no trainer or anything. We just shot in tanks.
And you also had one extra tank.
Oh yeah, I had an extra Tiger tank against Russian T-34s, which is like sending a Space Marine against a chick. I'm not talking about the chick. I'm talking like a cheep, 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 cheep.
Little centipede.
Right. So, I mean, we didn't really get a good idea of what each game is about. We just saw the models. So,
And we're getting some ideas because we do like a lot of models. With Flames of War, it's all the historical tanks and stuff from World War II that we like. The idea of that. Reenacting like battles from World War II.
What's the time at?
2:45.
Okay. More than likely, I'm leaning toward Lord of the Rings. Morely because it's made by Games Workshop. I can depend on their models. I can depend on their customer service. They're, like I said, they usually have high quality models. So, and the only disadvantage of Games Workshop is they're not cheap model wise. Lord of the Rings is pretty cheap because they're not as big as 40K or fantasy models, and they're only one piece. So you lose some of the customization of a fantasy or 40K army.
Then again, you can't quite customize them that much as, per se, the 40K
Yeah,
or
I
fantasy.
mean, you can't say, this guy's going to get a Storm Shield and a Power Fist with Iron Halo and a Disc of Zinch.
Yeah,
How you get that combo, don't tell me, but you get the idea of
Yeah,
it.
with the Lord of the Rings, it's, oh look,
Human,
the guy has a
horse,
spear.
sword.
Yeah,
That's about it.
He's got a spear, so that's what he has. He has a bow. That's what he has.
He
That's
doesn't
about
have
it.
a Power Spear of +3 shanking or anything like that.
No, that's the Nazgul.
I like that guy. He makes me chuckle.
But yeah, they are much cheaper though, like you were stating, the Lord of the
Yeah,
Rings.
you
because
get about 24 guys for $30.
it was like 25.
$25?
Yeah, I remember looking at a bunch of like either it was like Uruk-hai for me or the Moria Goblins. I get like 24 from both for maybe about $25, $26.
Which is usually all you need to play the skirmish game. It gives you usually 8 bows, 8 archers, 8 spears and shields, and 8 swords and shields, which is about what you need. And then you have to buy a command choice, which isn't that bad. It's probably $15. You get 3 guys.
15, $10, yeah, something like that.
Other than that, War Machine, they're expensive. Honestly, they're very expensive. Models are big though. There's a lot of detail in them, but it's kind of cartoonish. I think it's got a little bit of a cartoon aspect to it.
The idea behind the game system and the game were both interesting. It was just, yeah, we're not quite sure about that one. So it is mainly kind of Lord of the Rings or the fantasy.
Yeah, Flames of War. I'm a huge World War II buff. I love everything about it. Well, I'm not a sadist. I don't like the killing part. But,
The history.
right, the
behind
history
it.
behind it. I mean, you can change history. You can play Normandy, and the Germans can beat the Americans. You can play Bastogne, Germans can beat the Americans. You can turn the whole world around and make your German army rule the world instead of losing it.
Or you can have the Russians still crush you under their iron treads.
That was the Germans.
What now?
Never mind. Yeah, other than that, for going to the next game system, it'd be Lord of the Rings, Flames of War, War Machine.
Now
Other than
for Lord of the Rings, just trying to stick with a Games Workshop aspect for our viewers, what army would you possibly look at for Lord of the Rings?
Personally, Rohan, the new Galadriel Knights, the elves, I mean, they're pretty cool. I said Rohan already, right? Minas Tirith. Minas Tirith would have to be the
Oh,
third
so
one.
Gondor.
Gondor, there you go.